There is no denying the fact that the Oscars and the ratings that go along with that actual event have been declining every single year for at least the past 10 years now, due to them doubling down on everything to do with DEI, their overall ideology, their agenda, whatever you want to call it. Anything to do with anything, removing any artistic value, anything to do with creativity, and focusing on an agenda or a message. That's exactly why people have been tuning out of the Oscars every single year, and in 2025, on March 2nd, it's about to get a whole lot worse. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So a lot of actors have really been coming out about all the controversy right now surrounding the Oscars 2025. We got Josh Brolin, we got Mel Gibson, we got Sylvester Stallone, we got James Woods. We got so many out there that are criticizing the Oscars, and rightfully so, for doubling down on DEI after President Donald Trump, which really, and rightfully so as well, demanded DEI to really get abolished, either through agencies or even pressuring it on entertainment to get rid of that as well. Now, interestingly enough, this has a lot to do with the Oscars handing out 13 nominations for a movie called Emilia Perez, which, in case you guys have no idea, this is a Spanish-language, French-made musical about a Mexican drug lord who undergoes gender transition. Yes, this is exactly what's been going on with the Oscars. This is the type of movie that is getting 13 nominations, including Best Picture, Best Actress, and more. So let's go on to what Mel Gibson had to say. Now, we know that Mel Gibson is 100% against DEI, and this is where it gets interesting. Now, with the entire woke media now in shambles and Hollywood in financial ruin, after doubling down on DEI for so many years, one major development now involves more to do with Mel Gibson as one of the many actors that are now calling out the Oscars for doubling down on DEI and wokeism that is set to debut on March 2nd. Mel Gibson recently delivered the following in response to the Oscars. I mean, did you see those nominations that the Oscars handed out for the film Emilia Perez? I think that is the epitome of really just doing something like this out of spite toward our beloved president after he decided to abolish DEI from agencies and pressured to get it out of entertainment. I mean, look man, just days after Trump initiated his demands for DEI to be thrown out of all organizations, we get this, and all of these nonsense nominations coming from the Academy for a film that honestly nobody I know heard of or saw, and it just sends the wrong message, especially to younger audiences. If you want to make a film and it holds value, that's fine, but let's focus on merit and artistic value instead of this ideological nonsense that has plagued the Academy for so many years. But now in 2025, they seem to have doubled down. I'm sorry, my mistake. Tripled down, because this actress who got 13 nominations for this film, for a film that is 100% driven by diversity, equity, and inclusion, and look, it's getting so much flack for that main reason. The Academy did this out of spite toward President Trump. That's just a fact at this point. Now guys, let me just pause for a second. Now, Mel Gibson does bring up a very interesting point about Trump. Now, we got this by the Oscars literally like, what, 2 or 3 days right after Donald Trump put out that executive order to abolish DEI from agencies and to also get rid of it from entertainment, whether it's music, movies, television, books, novels, whatever it may be, to pressure them to get rid of all of that and throw it in the trash. 2 to 3 days after that executive order went out and he actually pressured entertainment to get rid of it as well, we get this, something that we have never seen before, a film, like Mel pointed out, that got 13 nominations, a film called Emilia Perez, starring this actress that is all about transitioning, alright? And it really just goes to show you how desperate they really are to really go to this degree of really doing this out of spite toward Trump. And I think that's very valid. I think that's a correct thing that he brought up there. I 100% believe that Mel Gibson is on point, that this is being done out of spite. Now, look, Emilia Perez, like I pointed out before, the actress or actor in this movie is Carla Sofia Gascon, if I pronounced that correctly. You know, let me know. But overall, let's move on here. He goes on to continue. The Academy did this out of spite toward our president. That's just a fact. We have never seen anything like this before in the Academy. This many nominations for a film that they know is going to be divisive, and it's just a musical about a sex change. I mean, this is just getting ridiculous and out of hand already now. We need to focus on merit and creativity again, instead of films that are meant to send a message and are the ones to complain. They are the ones to complain about ratings and why so many have shifted away from watching the Oscars. Well, it's stuff like this. Look, man, I'm an actor. I know my place. I stay in my lane. I express my politics, yes, and that's it. I'm not going to force anybody into anything, but I do like to express myself in a respectful manner. I just think that's how both sides should be. It's how we establish unity, but the Academy is becoming an even greater problem right now, and they are contributing to that division. You have so many studios that are resisting Donald Trump's demands, and his orders, and his requests to abolish DEI. This is something that we need to pay attention to, and come March 2nd, I think you are going to see interesting metrics with their ratings. I'm calling it right now. I don't like to celebrate anybody's failure, but I'm just calling it that this will result in many people tuning out by word of mouth. People are tired of celebrity worship and listening to their politics as if it's their way or the highway. People don't want to hear it anymore, especially from these executives and those in the Academy, and I totally get it. I understand them deeply. We need to establish an understanding that we need to focus on art over ideological insanity. So look, I mean, Mel is pointing out everything across the board here. That basically, number one, this was done out of spite. Number two, this is going to result in a ratings disaster for the Oscars. Like, whether it's through word of mouth, like he pointed out there, or people that are going to be watching this thing are just going to bail out midway through. It's going to happen either way. Now, we already know that the Oscars at this point is pretty much a dead event. Nobody really cares about this anymore. In fact, everybody that I know that once watched the Oscars on an annual basis, they no longer tune into this thing. In fact, I haven't tuned into it in the past 5 or 6 years, to be very upfront with all of you out there. But there are highlights, there are clips that I do tune into to kind of gather up everything, to deliver everything on what's been going on here. But I think at the end of the day, this is really going to be the final nail in the coffin for the Oscars, especially now in 2025, where you have DEI getting driven out of so many organizations, agencies, corporations, and companies and studios. And then you get this by the Academy. I can understand why Mel Gibson is just fed up about this, and why this is really kind of putting a bad image on Hollywood, even more so than the image that was already tainted to begin with, right, in 2024. So, at the end of the day, look, I think that this is going to be an interesting event regardless, because once they stick around with this, once they stick with this overall agenda by really going over these 13 nominations for a film, Emilia Perez, and Mel made a very good point. Nobody really heard about this or watched this. This just came out of the blue, and it's already up for Best Actress, Best Picture, all of this nonsense. I think Mel's on point, and I think I think this is really going to be a damaging effect on the Oscars 2025. But overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about Mel Gibson, about the Oscars, about Emilia Perez, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.